last day here at the studio in Paris, and this morning we are talking all things Lora Alliance with Richard Stamvik. Richard, thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning.
Perhaps you could start by giving us an idea of what is the Lora Alliance doing now, and perhaps slightly more importantly, what is the future holding for the Alliance?
Sure. So, assuming you know about the Lora Alliance, a few things worth mentioning is there is a clear set of vertical initiatives. We are here, for once, dedicated marketing efforts. We are here, we target a number of vertical events. Now, utilities is, of course, one of the key focal areas for the Alliance. It's metering, it's smart grid, electric vehicle charging, smart city, renewable energy and distributed energy generation, and a number of other items. That's one of the key things for the Alliance. Another thing is the certification efforts that we have now spun up. There's a focus on processes, on tools, on test houses, all ensuring compliance to the standard and thus interoperability between all the various pieces in the ecosystem. Then going forward, we're going to see a focus on, if we were to select one sub-vertical within utilities, I would say water. Now, consider this. Consider this. There's 6 million smart water meters sold every year in the EMEA region, and some 200 plus meters in all. So there's a large replacement market, and 50,000 utility companies in EMEA. In Europe. So there is a massive market, and also worth noting that as well as for gas, there is no electricity supply to the meter, so there is a need for battery power devices. So Lora plays really well here in this area. If we are to look forward, another thing I think the Lora Alliance will focus on in the coming years is looking at the business case. So we've done the technology presentation, we've done the ecosystem build-up, we have presented products, and we are now presenting use cases. Now, what we can see coming now is business cases, show the ROI and show how using Lora technology with the Lora ecosystem can really be profitable.
I know that the Alliance has recently released a report on NB-IoT. Could you perhaps expand a little bit on the focus and basically why people should be reading it?
Sure. Now, there's a lot of noise in the industry about different technologies, and first of all, it's worth noting that not all differences are technical. There's a lot of differences on the commercial side, on the deployment model side, on the architecture side of things. But if we were to start on the technology side and say do an apples to apples comparison, on a high level we can say that LoRaWAN leads on power performance and cost efficiency, whereas NB-IoT leads on latency, on security and throughput. So there are technical differences, and they in turn map to different use cases. There's also, of course, as we said before, the architecture model. Would you like a centralized or a decentralized network? Would you like a CapEx or an OpEx business model? These in turn have implications on the use case. And also a key thing, there is a massive ecosystem on the LoRaWAN side of things that I don't think we have really seen build up yet on the NB-IoT side of things. And this is also reflected in verticals. I mean, we talked about utilities already, how water and gas, to a large extent actually propelled by China, now is gaining some headway. And another thing worth noting, by the way, in utilities, DLMS integration, DLMS being a standard for how electricity meters exchange information. There is now a DLMS profile for LoRaWAN. Smart building or connected building, Lora has quite some foothold there, mainly because there is an ability to go and deploy your private network and get coverage where you need it, in case there are black spots. Industrial, same thing there. LoRaWAN, with its resilience in harsh environments, its good penetration, and again ability to deploy where and when needed, again upside for LoRaWAN. Agriculture, the same thing there, and a lot of agricultural use cases, we should say. And this, by the way, is being propelled by a massive need to increase agricultural output over the coming 50 years or so due to the population growth. A lot of that happens in non-urban areas where there's little or no cellular coverage. Yeah? Logistics, the same thing there, track and trace, another large area for LoRaWAN. And there we can say that we benefit from the combination of public and private networks, because you both need to track and trace where you have built your own private network, but also in the public domain, and say that you then benefit from the publicly deployed network, as in France, for instance. And I noted that the amount of devices being traced in the coming 5 or so years is up towards 10 billion. So there is a fair amount of LoRaWAN traced devices.
Well, it sounds like it's a truly universal application.
It is, and now the paper is about NB-IoT versus LoRaWAN. So I think as a summary, these two technologies to some extent are complementary, as we said before. The technology side of things, as visible in industry, for instance, in some cases you need the NB-IoT properties, in some cases you need the LoRaWAN. So in industry, and also in areas, say, track and trace or logistics, where you can benefit from the public network as well as the private. These are two typical areas where these two technologies will coexist, not just, again, from a technical point of view, but also from a deployment model point of view.
Fantastic. So be sure to read the white paper. There will be a link down below this video. Richard, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us about the white paper and about what the Lora Alliance is doing.
Thank you very much.
From our studio here in Paris, thanks for watching.